Alright, this is LSAT PrepTest 24, Section 4, questions 1 through 5, the first logic game of this section. Okay, so, in a certain recipe contest, each contestant submits 2 recipes, one for an appetizer, one for a main dish. Together, the 2 recipes must include exactly 7 flavorings. I'm not even going to try. So F, G, L, N, P, S, and T, with no flavor included in more than one of the 2 recipes. Each contestant's recipes must satisfy the following conditions. Okay, great. And so, you know, before going on to the rules of the game, it's very clear to me the format of this game, and it looks like what it is it's an in and out game where you have appetizer versus main dish, right? Because we have to use all 7 of these ingredients, and they can't be used in more than one of these things, which means that if it's an appetizer, it can't be in the main course. If it's in the main course, it can't be in the appetizer, and you have to use it once in the course of what's going on here, right? Okay, so this is just an in and out game when you actually really think about it. Okay, so rule number 1: appetizer recipe must include or includes at most 3 of the flavorings. So this is 3 or less, less than or equal to 3, which also, you know, by implication means that the main course has to have 4 or more. Other way around. 4 or more. Actually, probably the easier way to do this is just you know, 3 or less, 4 or more. Okay, ingredients. Alright, which means that this could be 3, 4, 2, 5, 1, 6, or 0 and 7, but I very highly doubt that 0 and 7 is going to be the case given that we still have, you know, rules to go through. Okay, so this is rule number 1. Rule number 2: fenugreek is not included in the same recipe as nut. Okay, so if you have whatever, then you can't have nutmeg. But you see what I've done here. I've done a biconditional arrow, because it actually goes both ways, right? Because we know that this is an in and out game, which means that if you have one, then you don't have the other, which means that the other one must go over here. But then let's think about what this means for a second, right? Let's break this out. So F goes to /n, N goes to /f. We know that, right? Because these are just contrapositive of each other. But what else do we know? We know that if we don't have F, we must have N, and we don't have N, we must have F. Why is that the case? It's because they can never be together, right? So if F is here, or if F is not here, that means we know that N's got to be here. Why? Because we know that F's got to be here, right? So that's why I use a biconditional arrow for this statement. Ditto with rule number 3. Rule number 3 tells us that saffron is not included in the same recipe as turmeric. So S, biconditional arrow, no T, right? Okay, let's actually just get rid of this. Now that we understand why the biconditional was used. Okay, and the last rule is ginger is included in the same recipe as nutmeg. So G and N are always together, or if you really want to be specific about it, G biconditional N, right? And this actually makes a little bit of a difference, right? Because what happens is you can combine rule 2 and rule number 4 if you make it so that N biconditional /F, right? And these actually mean exactly the same thing, right? Because then what you can do is you can tack this purple stuff onto rule number 4. So you take rule number 2, you take rule number 4, you mash them together, and your new rule looks like ginger and nutmeg are always together, and they are never together with saffron. In other words, the deduction that you are making here is that G and N are always together, and they are always separate from F, right? So let's actually move this over here, because that's not the only thing that we can that we can figure out. Because now that we know that this is what the biconditional means, how about this rule number 3? Right? We know that we've got to have either one of S or T in each of these groups, right? And so you see what we've done here. What we've done is basically we've drawn a bunch of sort of contrasts, right? If you have this block, you can't ever have this block. You have to have one of these guys. Well, look, like this makes up 3 ingredients already. This makes up 2 ingredients already, right? Which means that what do we do with the ingredients we have no rules for? We don't have any rules for L, lemongrass. We have a rule for F, we have a rule for G, we have a rule for N, we have an S and a T. But L and P, we don't actually have any rules for, right? So L and P just kind of float freely, right? But we have to distribute these somehow into our main course appetizer. And it's also worth noting that we don't know which one of these columns is main course, which one of these columns is appetizer, right? Because it could be either one, depending. Like, for example, if we put L and P both on this side, that means that this would be the main course, this would be the appetizer. If we split them up, that would mean that this is the main course and this is the appetizer, right? But the bottom line is all these rules are really telling you is that these guys have to be separate. You have to have at least one of these guys in each one, and that's going to be hugely beneficial come question time. Okay, so With that in mind, let's just go ahead and look at the answers. Or not the answers, the questions rather. Okay. So question 1, your typical. Which of the following could be a complete and accurate list of flavorings included in one contestant's main dish recipe? Okay, so what do we know of the main dish? We know it's got to have 4 or more ingredients, which immediately takes out answer choice A, because answer choice A only has 3 ingredients, right? Moving to the second rule, that N and F can never be together, right? And answer choice B, N is not, N and F are together, so forget it. Answer choice C, N is there but F is not, that's fine. Answer choice D, N is there, F is not, okay. Answer choice E, same thing, so that's okay. That's rule number 2. How about rule number 3? S and T can never be together. In answer choice C, they're not together in what's given. Answer choice D, they're not together in what's given. Answer choice E, they are, however. So answer choice E is also completely out because of rule number 3. And finally, ginger and nutmeg are together, right? But, I mean, hold on. Answer choice C and D, G and N, are both present there, right? So let's actually reproduce these. G, L, N, P versus G, N, P, T, right? So answer choice, or rule number 4 doesn't actually eliminate anything. And so at this point, you might start to panic, like, uh-oh, what's going on here, right? Well, here's what's going on here, right? G, L, N, P leaves what? It leaves F, S, and T to be in the appetizers. And now everything becomes very clear, right? Because this violates this rule that S and T can't ever be together. So you have to go one level deeper in order to see that answer choice C is not possible. But I mean, there you go, right? It has to be, and the reason for for the record is because you have to have one of S or T in each of the appetizer and the main dish, and answer choice C just doesn't give it to you, right? So that can't ever be correct. So answer choice D is going to be the answer. Okay. Again, number 2, if the contestant's appetizer recipe does not include fenugreek, then the contestant's appetizer recipe must include. Okay, so we have the appetizer, we have the main course. It doesn't include F, which means that F must be in the main course. Right? Which means what? Which means that N cannot be in the main course, which means it must be in the appetizer. And then rule number 4 tells us that ginger is always together with nutmeg. Right? So the appetizer must contain either nutmeg or ginger. And which one of those is an answer choice? That's answer choice A. Just quick, straightforward. Okay, clearing the board and going to number 3. So number 3 asks us, which of the following could be a list of all the flavorings included in one contestant's appetizer recipe? So they give us, first things first, look at answer choice E. Answer choice E has got four ingredients in the appetizer. We know that can never be the case. So you just eliminate that one right off the bat. Okay, so the other ones are FS, and then GN, and then FNT, and then LNS. And so immediately here I see a bunch of mistakes, basically, right? So let's starting from the top, right? F and N can't ever be together. F and N are together here, so forget it. How about S and T? S and T can't ever be together, but we know we have to have at least one of them. So no, this one doesn't have one of S or T, so it can't be right. How about G and N? G and N are always together. N is here, but G is not. So that's not right. And so answer is A. Just by default has to be the answer. And if you really want to check on it, what happens with F and S is you leave G, L, N, P, and T for the main course, and that doesn't actually violate any of the rules, right? Like F is separate from N, S is separate from T, and then G and N are together here, right? So answer choice A is the answer to number 3. How about number 4? If a contestant includes lemongrass in the same recipe as paprika, which of the following is the flavoring that must be included in the contestant's main dish recipe? Okay, so once again, look what we have. We have G and N separated from F. We have one of S or T, and then our new information is that we have L and P together, right? So there's 2 ways that this could happen. Either you put it here, or you put it here, right? And so in this case, if you put L and P over here with G and N, GN, S or T, L and P. This one's got 5 ingredients. This one's got 2 ingredients, right? So this would be the main course. How about over here? If you follow the red arrow, if you put F, one of S or T, and L and P together, you have 4 ingredients here, which means G and N, and the other one of S or T, 3 ingredients here. So this would be the main dish, right? So you actually don't know. It turns out that none of these elements is guaranteed to be part of the main dish, right? Actually, if you think about it, what is the only element that is guaranteed to be part of the main dish? That's right. It's these guys right here, right? These guys, wherever they end up going, that thing is going to become the main dish. So looking at the answer choices, right? Ginger doesn't have to be you just go through it. Ginger, nutmeg, saffron, and turmeric, they're all right here. ginger, saffron, turmeric, and nutmeg, right? None of these guys are guaranteed to be part of the main dish, whereas what is? Lemongrass, absolutely, is guaranteed to be part of the main dish because L and P, when you dump them into either side of these, makes it the main dish. Answer choice B is the answer. Right, okay. And finally, if the condition that requires ginger to be included in the same recipe as nutmeg is suspended, but all the other original conditions remain in effect, which of the following could be a list of all the flavorings included in one contestant's main dish recipe? Okay, so basically what they're asking us to do is suspend this last rule. Okay, so basically all we need to know is that F and N are separated and that S and T are separated, right? And then obviously this first rule that 3 max for the appetizer, 4 minimum for the main dish. Okay, so looking at these answer choices, right? First of all, we need like a main dish recipe. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the rest of them have 5. So that's no problem, right? Okay, so let's actually reproduce these. GLNP. We have GLPT. We have FGLPS. We have FGLST. We have FLNPS. Okay, so F and N can't be together. F and N can't be together. S and T can't be together. S and T can't be together. Right, which leaves us these 3. So how do we go about differentiating? Well, I mean, once again, what ends up happening is that now you have to look more closely at what you're leaving out in terms of this is the main dish. So what's in the appetizer, right? So in the appetizer over here, we have G and N, which means that F is over here, right? We don't have either of S or T here, so it means that S and T must be here together, and we can't have that. So answer choice A is not going to be right, right? How about an answer choice B? G and L, right, and P and T. But where's N, right? We know that G and N have to be together. I'm sorry. Now we don't know that G and N have to be. That's my mistake. But look at what we do have, right? We don't have one of F or N here. So both F and N are going to have to be over here, right? GLPT, FN, and S. Right? If these are the 4, then these are the other 3. F and N are together here. They can't ever be together, so that's not going to be it. Which leaves answer choice C, right? So FGLPS. So FGLPS leaves N and T over here, right? So F is now separate from N. S is now separate from T. We have a main dish with enough ingredients, an appetizer with that number of ingredients. So therefore, answer choice C is going to be correct here. So really what this game really underscores is the power of, I would call it like quote-unquote negative information, right? Like if you see in question 5, and also in question 2, what they did is they gave you a list of stuff, and they're relying on you to make the deduction about what else it is that you know in order to eliminate these answer choices, right? And once you get good at that and quick at recognizing that, these questions get much easier. Okay, and so that's the game.